Hector Bravo unhinged. Chaos is now in session.
Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing. Today, another banger for you guys, man. I love it when I interview guys that were in the Army, specifically the infantry, man, because I can relate so much. So today we have a guy that was in 126 Infantry, also known as the Blue Spaders, stationed out of Germany, multiple combat deployments, was born in Nicaragua, raised in Oakland by the name of Juan. What's up, dude?
It's great to be here. It's finally good to hook up after seeing you, following your content for so long.
Thank you. I appreciate that, dude. So what did you notice right away? The Army talk that I was talking about?
Well, I started just being bored watching YouTube channels, and I fell somehow into the prison genre. And then I started seeing guys in the prison genre, and then I saw you jump on there and give a different side of kind of like the same world.
Right.
And I thought it was interesting. And then when I saw you talk about your history of how you were in the Army, where you were, it was very interesting because I was like, hey, I know who he's talking about. I know where. I know the places. It's very similar.
Not too many people know about that day and age, man, or locations. So you were born in Nicaragua?
Yes.
How big is that country and where, what city, or how does that work?
So I was born in the capital. It's in Central America. It's north of Costa Rica.
Okay.
South of Honduras.
There you go.
It's the largest country in Central America, and it's not too big. It's like maybe South Carolina size.
Okay. How long were you there before you came to the United States?
I was there for about 2 years.
Wow.
So basically, I was born there, but I didn't know much at that time of much there. But I was there 2 years, and then we moved to California.
Was that by sheer luck or was that by design, the California part?
So my father is from the United States, and he's Mexican, and my mother's from Nicaragua. So my dad was down there. I was born there, and they were just like, the country was going through some political stuff, so he was like, time to go. Let's go back to California.
Was he doing work down there?
Yeah, so he was working down there. He was working at a radio station.
Cool.
They were doing fine, but then the instability started coming in the country, and they thought it was better to go back.
Smart. And East Oakland or Oakland was where you guys touched down?
Yeah, I don't know how we landed there. I think my pops had friends there or something because we didn't have no family. Because most of my family's from Central or Southern California.
Yeah.
But I think my dad wanted to start fresh, and I guess he chose East Oakland, of all places, because we knew some people there. So that's where my first introduction into the United States was.
I'm sure it was normal to you, right? Did it seem abnormal? Or was it like, it seemed like they get hyphy there.
Yeah, so it was like the 80s.
Okay.
So it was like crack era.
Crack cocaine.
Yeah, crack era was everything. And the first place we lived, which is like apparently a very, very bad neighborhood. But I was a little kid, so I didn't even know anything. I was just like, hey, this is normal. Yeah,
right.
This is what it is. And then we moved to another place that wasn't as bad, but it was still Oakland. Oakland's still going to be Oakland.
So when you were growing up, was there anything that stands out to you? Like, I mean, were you seeing cracked out dudes yelling on the corner or chasing people down or beatings or prostitution or?
I think what I saw was like normal is we had a crack house, the apartment complex that was just like a dope house.
Yeah.
And we had a tunnel, like a creek that used to run under through a park. And every time we see people come up through the creek, it's like, oh, they're busting the crack house again.
Okay.
And that was just like normal stuff like that. There'd be dudes high on PCP that would damage every car down the block. There'd be like homicides. And they're just like, oh, that happened.
The house I grew up next to in Brawley sold heroin out there. And yeah, the cops would raid it every once in a while. So I could relate in growing up next to dope houses.
Yeah, and it just seems normal after a while.
It is kind of normal to seeing the syringes on the ground in the parks and the dirt parking lots. Were you getting yourself into trouble at that time frame?
So I guess I was, but I kind of didn't realize it because my mother didn't want me to go to school there. So for her, she's from Nicaragua. When she came here, one of her big things was education.
Okay.
So she made the effort to make me go to school in not that neighborhood. So I went to school in the hills. So
how would you get there?
So she would take me on the bus because she enrolled in community college.
Okay.
And she would take me, and she somehow talked to them into letting me go into those schools. So when I was going to school in the hills, the only thing is I was a little ghetto kid from the east side. So when I went there, the hills is where all the rich kids were. And like I almost got expelled when I was in 3rd grade.
Did you perceive that they were treating you different or looking at you different? Or did you feel like an outcaster?
Yes.
You did?
Definitely, because I was Latino.
Why? Because they had nice shit on. What race were they? White?
Yeah, there was a lot of white people up there in the hills. And then like there was like one black dude. I'm like, hey, we're friends. He was like a 3rd grader with a mustache though. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
He had been held back a bunch of
Like
times.
6'5", 200 pounds, dude.
Yeah. I was like, that's a man right there. What's he doing
What's
here?
up?
Yeah.
So when you say trouble, I mean, there's various degrees to trouble. Were you breaking windows, tagging, stealing shit, just ditching school?
So at that point, I just had an attitude. I had a problem with authority. And then like I'd like tell people off all the time, and I'd be like,
right.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know, just like a little bad kid.
I get it. Rebellious.
Yeah, rebellious. That would probably be the best word for it.
Not so much a troublemaker, just probably rebellious as to like, it's this fucking stupid authority.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
When did the light bulb come on that you were going to join the United States Army?
So, what happened was we were there for a while, and then as my parents saw me grow up, they're like, oh, this kid's going to get killed. Like, he's not going to make it very far if I continue in my troublemaker lifestyle like that. So then we moved to the suburbs after that.
Okay.
And we moved to Vacaville.
Okay.
And that's between Oakland and Sacramento.
Right.
Kind of between that. So when that happened, it was kind of like a huge culture shock to me. Because it was moving from inner city.
Were you involved in gangs, or who the hell were you hanging around with?
At that point, no. At that point, it was just neighborhood stuff and stuff like that. But they saw the trajectory that I was on, and they saw the environment, and they were just like,
what were you doing? Staying out late?
Yeah, just hanging out, doing stuff, and like not listening. And then the people there, of course, the drugs, the violence, things like that. And at a young age, it's kind of like, okay, this is going to get a little crazy if we stay here.
Right.
Because it's a very bad area. And then when we moved there, it was just like a culture shock because it was just so drastically different. Life was so slow.
Did that make you feel uncomfortable in your own skin?
Absolutely.
You felt like you were out of your element?
Absolutely. I felt like I was an outsider in this place. And I actually got into more fights in the suburbs
I could imagine.
than I did in the city. Because in the city, it's more dangerous if you play around. It's real.
Correct.
But when you go to the suburbs, they think you could just talk and, yeah, so.
Right.
So that was a culture shock when I moved there. So when I thought about joining the Army was when I moved to the suburbs, I kept on getting in trouble. So that's when I started kind of elevating, stealing cars.
Stealing cars?
Yeah. So that's what we used to do, like, for fun, just, like, go steal some cars.
Random civilians' cars?
Yeah, because it was the 90s, so Hondas, Toyota Camrys.
How?
I'll just pop them with a screwdriver. It was way easy back then.
What was the end goal? Just to take it around for a joyride?
Yeah, we weren't making money. We're like, I don't know, we're taking risks for boredom, just excitement, adrenaline.
At the end of this joyride, where did the car end up at?
Some random park or some side of the road. We try to steal the radio, go sell the radio or something like that, like, if anything. But we would do it. We'd go pick up girls because we were, like, young.
Oh, okay.
Go pick up girls, be like, hey, I got a car.
It was a means to an end.
Yeah, well, that's how I learned how to drive.
Damn, Juan, you be driving around in all these nice cars.
They were doing that nice. But so when that ended up happening, once again, my parents were like, okay, this is going down a bad path. I ended up getting locked up as a juvenile.
You did?
Yeah, because I ended up getting caught eventually, you know? And I ended up getting locked up as a juvenile. And it was, I think my mother changed my life at that point because I had been arrested multiple times. So when I was arrested multiple times, she talked to like the probation or a DA or something like that. And I think on one of the big charges was like GTA hit and run. They didn't really have me because I was a passenger. So they were like, we don't know, but they say the trajectory and how many times he's been arrested, they say he's going to end up in CYA.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're like, he's going down this path and it's going to end up in a bad place. And I think it was like a 6-month sentence that I had. And my mom cut a deal, said, he's from Nicaragua. His grandfather lives in Nicaragua on a volcano. He will not get in trouble there. Let me send him there instead of having him incarcerated. Because if he gets incarcerated, he's just going to get deeper into gangs, deeper into trouble. It's not going to help him. He's just going to get more involved in that life. And I ended up living on a volcano in Nicaragua. Yeah.
Bro, looking back in hindsight, do you realize how much your parents did for you?
Absolutely. Because I was horrible. I was a horrible kid.
Dude. I mean, yeah, just from what you've told me so far, like your parents really made a massive effort to keep you in line, dude. Like, and it's succeeded.
And as such a young person and such a young, like I have kids, so like
Right.
letting your young kid go to a different country
Right.
where you don't have contact and trusting them that, hey, this is better for my child.
So you were on a volcano.
Well, I only lasted there for like a month because it was just too rough.
Was it an actual volcano? What
No,
was it, like a mountainside?
Active volcano.
Active?
You could look inside and see lava.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
No way, bro.
Absolutely. It's Volcán Telica.
How do you say it?
Telica.
Telica.
Yeah.
Wait, does it look like the hole on the top? And what do you stand over the crater?
Yeah, yeah. It's like a wide.
How many miles up or
I don't
high?
know. I don't know how the height is.
It's like a good hike?
Yeah, it's a couple hours.
Okay.
But you know how you have some volcanoes that have a small cone up top?
Right.
This one's like a wide cone.
Okay.
So I still go back there, visit my family. I take pictures on the edge of the volcano.
So what does the scenery look like on the surrounding the volcano? Greenery?
Yeah, it's green.
It's beautiful?
It's beautiful. It's awesome.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, we go up there, we take pictures, we camp out.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's awesome. So I didn't last that long because I'm city boy. I can't live like they had no running water, they had no electricity.
That's the grunt life, bro. It was preparing you for the grunt life.
I guess so, because like it was bad, and then I had to work in the fields.
What did that consist of?
Picking beans.
And your fucking hands and knees and bending your back and
Yeah.
Were you sore and shit?
I didn't last doing that either. Yeah, I didn't last, and they're like, "Oh, this guy can't hack." So
Motherfuckers from California, man. He has dainty hands.
Yeah,
built for the volcano life.
Yeah, they had me swing an axe one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I swung it twice and just my whole hands blistered. Yeah, so then I ended up living in a smaller town.
Fun fact: one time I was a kid breaking rocks with a hammer, and I fucking clawed myself in the back of the head, man, right in front of my dad. He just looked at me and shook his head. I started bleeding, dude. So I could relate, dude. So after volcano land, where do you go?
To one of my tias in a small city
in Nicaragua.
Yeah,
that was for you a step up in civilization.
Yeah, like running water,
right?
Electricity.
Where would you take a shit in the volcano town?
At that point, there was nothing.
Where would you take a shit?
So behind the house on a little hill, you would just go there.
Okay.
There's like nothing. There's like absolutely nothing.
Any wild animals?
No, they would eat them all.
Damn. But no, like what's over there? Cheetahs, coyotes, fucking wolves, panthers?
Well, it's a third world country, so
Right.
people, anything they see that's wild, they kill it and they eat it.
Okay.
So, but they do have sometimes jaguars. They had like bobcats, iguanas.
Snakes?
Yes, snakes. But they're not as common because we eat those too.
Okay. So you've eaten just all kinds of random stuff.
Yeah. Hey, if you don't have meat,
right?
If you just eat rice and beans and cheese, getting some protein is like,
that protein.
Yeah, however you get it.
So you go and live with your aunt in a better little civilization. Mm-hmm. How old are you at this time?
I am 15.
Holy shit, dude! You were running amok.
Yeah.
At such a young age.
I guess I started fast.
Right.
And I just kept going fast my whole life.
Oh, I could relate. So what did you, when you were 15, did you have any knowledge of the United States military might? Were you watching Marine commercials with the chessboard and the dragon slaying?
I was watching novelas in Nicaragua. But I didn't really know much about it. But what happened down there in Nicaragua is, I think what you were talking about is when that light bulb moment where things change.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a girl pregnant down there.
Down there?
Yeah.
Okay. But how does getting a girl pregnant relate to joining the military? Are you thinking you now have to financially support her?
Correct. So I got a girl pregnant. I had a daughter. And I stayed there for a year, came back to the United States, and I was like, okay, now I have responsibilities.
Right.
I have to think about what to do with my future.
Did they stay down there or they came with you?
Initially, they stayed down there. So when I did that, I came back and I still had to finish high school. And when I had to finish high school, I was thinking, what's my future? how do I support a family? How do I support a child? How do I support this woman too? And
Was she your girlfriend at the time?
no,
No?
I had a girlfriend.
You had a girlfriend, and this one wasn't your girlfriend that you knocked up?
Yes.
How did the girlfriend handle that?
Oh, badly. Badly. She wasn't happy.
Right. So did you break it off with your girlfriend and you stayed with the baby mama?
Initially, no.
Okay.
I just broke up with my girlfriend. I was like, well, we're not dating, so.
Right.
But when the baby was born, I did the super Latino thing, and I was like, hey, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
You know, 2 young 16-year-olds like, hey, let's
Yeah.
give it a go, see if we can do the family thing. And of course, you know how that probably worked out.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I don't knock you for trying, bro. I mean, you're trying to do the honorable thing.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of like inculcated in
Right.
Latinos, like you have to be a man, you have to take care of your family and things like that.
Yeah. Did you come across a recruiter?
So I was lied to
By?
my family members. So I'm one of the younger cousins. My older cousins, they joined the National Guard. So, I had a lot of family members that were in the service, and they used to tell me that they were grunts. I was like, what do you do? They're like, it's awesome. Like, we're grunts. We do this. We kick in doors. It's awesome, and this and that. And I was like, wow, that sounds interesting. Later on, I found out that none of them were infantry. They all were like tankers, engineers, and they're like, yeah, we're pounding the ground and doing that.
Yeah.
So, no, I went to the recruiter office, and I was just like, I want to join.
In Oakland?
No, this one was in Vacaville. Because I
Vacaville,
went back there,
you relocated to Vacaville,
Yeah.
which is better off.
Yeah, because I don't know how my life would end up if I would have stayed there.
Oh, correct.
So, no.
You would have been an inmate, bro.
I would that or have been killed.
Dead, yeah.
One of the two. So, yeah, so I ended up going there, and I was like, well, I saw the war happening on TV.
Hold on. Where did 9/11 happen? What did you think when you saw that?
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. 9/11 happened. I had moved back to Nicaragua at that point because in my youth, I thought it would be a great idea that if I just dropped out of my senior year of high school and went and worked and did the family thing in Nicaragua.
Right.
So I was in a sweatshop in Nicaragua working when 9/11 happened. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's wartime. I was like, I should probably go back to the United States and go to war then.
Did you feel something inside of you like patriotism?
Absolutely. I felt like somebody attacked the country. We're at war. I got to go fight.
Let me dive more. I want you to describe that more to us because you were born in Nicaragua, but you were raised in California.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel that because I want you to explain it, bro. Where did you feel your loyalty lied? Which country?
The United States. Absolutely. But I also felt loyalty to Nicaragua, but it wasn't the same because this is where I was raised. And this is the country that I've known. And that seemed like a echo from the past that I still have love for.
Correct.
But the United States is my home. I'm an American. And, you know, if the country's attacked, I'm a young man.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, bro. So the wheels are already spinning.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking war drums are beating. And you're probably watching Black Hawk Down, We Were Soldiers.
I think the one movie that got me was I forget which one it was. It was the one with, it was a Marine movie.
Marine movie.
With, what's his name?
Around that time frame? Jarhead. No, because Jarhead came out in 05.
It wasn't Jarhead. It was Wind Talkers.
Wind Talkers? Really, dude?
Yeah, Wind Talkers.
I hated that movie, bro. I haven't really seen it besides that one time.
Yeah, I saw it, and I was in class. I had a little fun lunch break.
Yeah.
And I came back, and I went to a continuation high school, so that's where I graduated from.
Okay.
And when I graduated continuation, they was just like, watch TV, watch a
Right.
movie. This is history. Here's some credits, you know?
Yeah.
So when I went there, I was just watching, and I was just stuck. Everybody was talking. I was just looking at it. I was like, man, that looks awesome. There's a war right now. I want to do that. Let's go. And the only thing that actually stopped me from going was that I had a daughter, and at that time, they were having issues with single parents joining the military.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I did was I graduated high school, went straight down to Nicaragua, got married, 18 years old, as a smart person should do, and said, I got married, brought my daughter back.
It's a lot of traveling, bro.
Yeah, I love to travel. I've traveled since I was a kid. So we used to go back to Nicaragua all the time.
Yeah.
Just go visit family in Mexico. So, yeah, so once I did that, I said, let me go square myself away, go get married, live with, my wife at that time, my daughter, bring them back to the States, get myself right, and then I could go join the Army.
So by this time, the war in Afghanistan kicked off in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
The war in Iraq kicked off in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
What year are we looking at? 04, 05?
04, like kind of end up 4. But what ended up happening, I started getting in trouble again.
God damn, dude.
Yeah, so I ended up in county jail.
God damn, bro.
And then
you couldn't help yourself, huh?
Well, I think it was one of the things where it was a point in life where I was like trying to find my way.
Yeah.
And it was, do I fall back into old habits or do I break the cycle and do something with myself? And it was kind of like the struggle, and I was waiting. And what ended up happening is the recruiter showed up to court.
Wow.
And the case got dismissed, and he talked to the judge, and the judge was like, hey, I heard you're going to go join the Army. And they're like, yep, I'm ready to go. And as soon as you go, they're like, hey, if you ever see you again in this courtroom, it's going to be bad for you. If I don't, thank you for serving your country, and I hope it goes well.
Hell yeah.
And I didn't look back from then.
So you go to Fort Benning.
Absolutely.
Which have been renamed back to Fort Benning, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what battalion you were in?
119, Bravo 119.
Bravo 119.
Yep.
When you were in basic training in Bravo 119, Fort Benning, Georgia, home of the infantry, what stuff were your drill sergeants telling you, and had any of them already served in war?
So the majority had, because at that time it was 2005.
Correct.
So they were in OF1
Correct.
or OF2.
Or Afghanistan.
Or Afghanistan. I don't think I had an Afghanistan one. I think it was more of those.
Okay.
And as I got experience as an adult and as an infantryman, I understood kind of what was going on. They took these guys straight off of deployment. 3 months later, you had to go to drill sergeant school. 3 months later, you're in front of a bunch of people that you don't care about. When your battle buddies are overseas again, fighting, doing the war, and you're sitting here having to train the next generation.
Could you sense that from them?
They would tell us. They
would tell you guys?
Yeah,
What would they say?
absolutely. We'd be like, well, thank you for being here. And they're like, we didn't want to be here. I'd rather be out there downrange killing people. Like, but this is what the Army told me to do, so I'm going to do the best thing.
I totally see their point of view.
Yeah.
You ain't trying to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a job that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
And no better to train the future than the ones that have already experienced it.
Especially with fresh knowledge of tactics.
Fresh, bro. Yep. So fucking fresh, dude. But I want to know, what kind of life lessons were they embedding in you? Like, hey, when you get over there, it's game time. It's not for the faint of heart. Motherfuckers are going to die.
I think when I talked to friends that were pre-war in basic training, and when I was there in 05, when the war had already kicked off, I saw Fallujah on TV. I saw the Battle of Fallujah on TV, and I was like, wow, I want to do that. So a lot of the people that were in there knew what they were getting into. Well, they didn't know. Of course you don't know until you go to war.
Right.
But they had somewhat of an idea because they saw the news, they saw this.
Okay.
So I think the personality of the people who joined were like, we know we're going to war right away. That's all we want to do. We're joining infantry, we want to be front lines, and we want to go downrange.
So that's the difference with my generation, which was right before your generation. Mm-hmm. We didn't observe it.
Yeah.
We didn't know what the fuck we were going to get into.
Absolutely.
But we knew, hey, this is going to be like the movie. So we thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, dude. So did you guys you guys did the bayonet, 25-mile road march at the end?
All that.
Do you remember your turning blue ceremony?
Yeah, I remember it was horrible.
Why?
Because I'm tall, and back then they liked to give the smallest guy the 240. So the smallest guy was in front of me, and I said, I'm going to go next to you so I can help you out if you need it. The dude carried it for 1 mile. I carried it for like 20-something. But when we get to change socks right before Honor Hill, they look at me and they say, hey, everybody return to their original weapons. So I lugged the 240 for 20-something miles, and then we go back. This little guy is just sitting there, and I'm a big, tall guy, and going up on our hill where they have all their privates,
Yeah. Clapping you in.
Clapping you in there like that. Everybody just talked shit to me.
What were they saying?
Like, look at this little dude. Because I was like smoked. They're like, look at this little dude. He has so much heart. He's carrying a 240. You're carrying an M4.
Who was saying that?
The other privates that were supposed to be cheering us on.
Why were they talking shit, bro? That's weird. I never wouldn't imagine them talking shit because they're in no place to talk shit. They're privates.
That's what we do. Privates talk shit.
Yeah, but you got to earn your place.
Yeah,
because
I think those had already graduated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had already graduated.
Okay. Yeah, I thought they were like fresh talking shit to you guys.
Yo, and I was sucking too.
Yeah. So, I mean, in your head, you're probably like, oh, these motherfuckers.
Yeah, like I carried it the whole time.
Right. So, you turn blue, you get your blue cord, you get your blue discs. How did that make you feel?
I don't even know because I didn't know anything about the Army.
You didn't?
I just watched the movies. I'm like, all right.
Did you know anything about combat patches on the right shoulder or a CIB or airborne
Absolutely
wings?
nothing.
Correct. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, they're like, what's a blue cord? Like, what's a CIB? And they're just like, you don't know what a CIB is? I'm like, no clue.
So you had already had orders to Europe, right?
Correct.
You were 11 X-ray, you went 11 Bravo.
Yep.
And you touched down in probably Frankfurt.
Yep.
And then, is that when you find out you're going to 126 Infantry?
I think I had already had orders for it, but
Okay.
I didn't know anything what it meant.
Right. Did you know what the Big Red 1 was, the 1st Infantry Division?
No clue.
No?
Nothing.
So then you arrive on Leadwood Barracks, Schweinfurt, Germany. What was your incoming received like?
So my reception was kind of different because I left Georgia December 25th, 2005, Christmas Day.
Okay.
I landed December 26th. Everyone was on block leave. So no one was there to receive me.
Everybody was on block leave from OIF 2.
No, just Christmas block leave.
Christmas block leave.
Yeah, because it was Christmas time, so everybody went from Germany back to the States.
Wait a minute, was 126 actively in Iraq at that time?
No. They had come back from OIF 2.
From Samara.
Yes, from Samara.
But we had a company with us in Balad. We had a company of 126 Infantry with us in Balad.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're on block leave. They had already went to OIF 2. Now tell us how you dove right into Graf and Hohenfels.
Yeah, so that was as soon as block leave came over, they told me, hey, we're going to go to Graf and Hohenfels. I'm like, what's that? Like, no clue what's going on. And then they say, just get ready. Then when everybody comes back, I just get hazed, just crazy hazed. And
it's a beautiful thing, bro.
It
builds character.
It builds character, definitely does. It makes you not care about a lot and not take everything not be as sensitive to so many things.
Right.
So did that, go straight into a 45-day field problem. And it was a bad winter that winter too.
Does Nicaragua get cold?
No, like 70 is cold.
What was your thoughts of the German cold?
I thought it was miserable. I thought it couldn't be like that. So in Germany, in the barracks that we had, they have these gas heaters.
Yeah.
Where you turn the knob. I had never seen a gas heater. I don't have that where I'm from, California, Northern California. So when I went there, I didn't have any sheets. I didn't know what to do. So I had like a whoopee, and the room was ice cold. And when I was civilian, I was always used to sleeping with the window open because I need some fresh air. If not, I feel stuffy, things like that. So I cracked the window, but it's like 20 degrees outside. So I was like, let me turn on the heater. This is really warm. So I leaned up against the heater, but the heaters have a little timer thing on them. So if you don't stick the timer, it cools down. So my first 3 nights in Germany were just miserable because the heater would turn on for like 30 minutes. The window would be open and it'd be 20 degrees inside and I wouldn't sleep. And I was a dumb private. So it took me like 3 days to be like, my heater's broken for me to figure out
I could see that.
how to use a heater. But yeah, no, the cold was miserable. It was absolutely miserable.
You didn't have a roommate at that time or he was on leave?
So the way our barracks were set up, we had individual rooms because we had refurbished barracks.
I don't remember that, bro.
So our building, Alpha Company, was the only one that had them.
Okay.
So HAC had the big, like 4-man rooms. Bravo and Charlie split rooms, and they had also the same thing.
They had
like
the big
4-man.
wall lockers.
Yep,
and the 2
wall
beds
lockers.
in there.
So we had the only refurbished barracks.
Oh, you're lucky as fuck, bro.
Yeah, so I had one room over here. My roommate had a room over there.
Did you guys share bathrooms?
Share bathroom, share a kitchen.
All right.
So we didn't have the bathrooms at the end of the hall where everybody showered together and stuff like that. So I lucked out on there.
So Hohenfeld's Graf, you're sleeping in the snow, in the mud, in the frozen ground.
Yeah.
30 days at a time. What was that experience like?
It was fun.
Live fire ranges?
Yeah, live fire, the box, all that stuff. So we did live fire. It was like the first time I shot live rounds.
Bradley, were you a dismount?
I was dismount, yes. It was awesome. It was the cool stuff. I felt the camaraderie, and everything was very serious, and everybody took everything very serious because all my NCOs had deployed to OF2. So all the sergeants have already came from OF2. It's in the final buildup to ramp up to go to the next deployment. And I think it takes everything serious because they tell you have to learn this. This is very serious because lives are on the line.
Absolutely.
So I think that mentality, when you take it on, you take more importance to what they're teaching, and they take more importance of why they're teaching it.
Can you explain to the crowd what the difference between dismounted and mounted are when it comes to the Bradley?
So Bradleys are armored personnel carriers, so they're just like a vehicle with tracks on it, and they have a big main gun on it. So they have a crew that mans the vehicle, and in the back, they have a bunch of angry infantrymen that once they stop, they have to go out and do infantry.
Drop the ramp and just start killing shit.
Yeah, go do infantry stuff.
Right.
And it's always fun because you don't know where you're at because you can't see anything.
Did it amaze you at how young these individuals were in your unit, but yet they were acting so much older and mature?
Absolutely. I had a staff sergeant that was like 21 years old or 22 years old. And he was like a staff sergeant. And it was just, I held them on a pedestal because of their professionalism, their maturity, and how they would be leaders at such a young age.
Right. Have you experienced leadership like that since then?
Yes. I've had, like, throughout the military, I've had good and bad leaders. I've had people that are career people. I have people that are just shady and they just slip through the cracks. And I've had people that actually care about people. Right. And care about teaching, care about leading, care about things like that.
I think those make the best leaders, the ones that actually give a fuck.
Yeah. And you could tell if somebody actually cares. And I think I'd lucked out with having such good leadership early in my career. Yep. Because I made so many mistakes early in my career because I was a knucklehead. Yeah. That knucklehead mentality, it took me a while to break, to grow up, to mature. And I had enough leaders that saw potential in me, that saw that, hey, this guy can learn, give him a chance.
So after Graf, after Hohenfeld, you guys get orders to go to Iraq?
Yes, we get orders to go to Iraq. The way it worked, it was weird, though, because we got orders to be QRF in Kuwait, but then it changed. They said you're going to be QRF in Germany, like if you were in Kuwait. So what happened is we shipped all our stuff out.
Okay. Railheaded and everything.
Railhead, everything. We had nothing. But then we ended up staying 3 extra months in Germany with nothing to do.
What the? And no equipment.
So we just partied for 3 months straight.
No way, dude.
Because they're like, you're about to deploy. They put like.
What about PT tests? Formations?
We did PT twice a day.
Okay.
So that's all we did. We woke up, did PT. Like, what do we train on? Like, we have nothing. We already did our training. All right. I mean, go over some first aid. Cool. Come back 1300. PT again. PT again. Get in the best shape you can. All right. Cool. Go to 1700 formation. Play video games. And then we just party all night.
Did you party in Schweinfurt or did you go to Würzburg, Bamberg? Did you travel?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
During that time, not as much because I was young. I didn't have a car.
Yeah, you could take the train, though, everywhere.
Yeah, but I was young. I was just like, the Schweinfurt was so awesome.
Did you ever get fucked up at Tabasco's?
Name a place I haven't.
The Long Island iced teas at Tabasco's. Mm-hmm. The Rock Fabrique.
Oh, yeah. There was many memorable nights at the Rock Fabrique. Yeah, the Russian club. I don't even remember.
Megadrome?
Yeah, the Megadrome. What are the other ones? The East Side. That was the NCO club. I don't even remember so much because, like, right.
Were you aware that there was whorehouses in Schweinfurt?
Absolutely, absolutely. I heard. Somebody handed me a lighter and it said something on it. I was like, "What's this mean?"
House 31, House 8.
Yeah.
From what I've heard.
20.
Yeah.
How's 14? Something like
It's
that.
legal.
Yeah,
from
yeah.
what
It's a profession.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you get the orders. You ain't doing your fucking partying your ass off for 3 fucking months, bro. Now, did that hinder your physical fitness?
We were young. We
like machines, dude.
Yeah, we were just like machines. We'd get smashed,
Right.
and then we'd go run 5 miles in the morning. And
Absolutely.
just like, and because our first sergeant and CO were old school, they're like, I don't care what you do,
Right.
but if you fall out of this 5-mile run at a 6-minute mile or a 6:30-mile pace,
Correct.
you're gonna get sent down to the MP station.
Absolutely.
So it was just like, well, yeah, I can't fall out of this run. Dudes would it'd give you incentive.
Right.
So yeah, and what the great thing that happened during that time, the World Cup happened in Germany.
The World Cup. You had you also Oktoberfest. Did you ever make it down to Oktoberfest in Munich?
I ended up making there one time.
Okay. Yeah, I did in 2005. So when did you find out you were going to Baghdad?
I don't even remember because I was so young and I didn't really understand anything.
Did you land in Kuwait first?
Yeah, so we went to Kuwait. So because we were on like 3-day orders, we were like, hey, at any moment
Right.
we can get orders. And then Charlie Company left first. They went. We left like 2 days later.
And they landed in Aramia.
No, they landed in Kuwait.
Correct, but they were stationed in Aramia.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you were in Kuwait, how did you guys get north? Driving?
Oh, and we flew in.
Holy shit.
So since we were on a QRF thing, usually like what my NCO told me before, like they sit there for a month, acclimate, do this. We were there for a week. So we were partying in Germany, drinking every day. There was dudes going through alcohol withdrawal in the tents
I hear you, man.
because they had already deployed. So they're like, I'm just going to drink. I have all this time to party.
Right.
Like, I think everybody deployed with like 5 cents in their bank account.
Just from fucking partying?
Because, like, think about it. You're young.
Right.
You don't know if you're going to die.
Well, you party hard. You train hard, party hard.
You're like, let me just enjoy life right before I go to war.
Mm-hmm.
So what does money matter? I'll just save up money when I'm deployed.
Correct.
So, yeah, dudes, we deployed with like 50 cents in our bank accounts.
Do you remember the date or the month and year that you got to Baghdad?
It was August.
God damn, it's hot as fuck.
Yeah, it was hot. Like, dudes were going through alcohol withdrawal.
Was that the surge?
Yes.
That was already the surge?
That's pre-surge. Like,
Pre-surge.
right before it was August 06, right before the surge was starting to happen.
What were you on? A fob? What were you on?
So my company was weird because we were like attached to a tank company, and then it was like a tank platoon, a mortar platoon, and an infantry platoon all together.
No engineers in that one?
No, we didn't have any engineers in that one. So it was like those were the 3 platoons, but we were the biggest one because we were the infantry one.
Correct.
And I think it was crazy because we were Kuwait for a week, then we go to Baghdad to BIOP, and they're like, hey, you're going to fly in. So BIOP's the international airport, and then we go there. We stay there for a little bit, maybe a day, I'm not sure. And then we fly on Chinooks to southern Baghdad to Fab Rasamaya.
Fab Rasamaya.
Yeah, Fab Rasamaya. So when we went there, I think that's when I kind of started to understand, like, what did I get into?
Why?
Because we got on Chinooks, and they gave us a very specific order. They said the FOB you're going to gets rocketed all the time. Whenever they see Chinooks come in, they know new troops are going in. So everybody, you have to listen because the last time they dropped troops off, a couple dudes got killed. So when you land, they're like, just grab whatever bag you can, throw it in the back of the 5-ton, jump in the back, and lay down in the fetal position. And I was like, what kind? I thought we were supposed to fight wars and stuff. Like, what is this? And they're like, where we landed, it was on the Iraqi side of the FOB, the Iraqi army, which we shared, and it was all dark.
It was nighttime?
It was night, yeah, because we couldn't do it to the day because we get shot down. So when that happened, we're going. I got a 240 because I was a 240 gunner. I got an M4. I got a pistol on me. I got all my bags. I weigh like 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
All I see is the guy in the back of the Chinook just start lighting people up.
No way, dude.
He just starts lighting people up. All you see is like the rounds flying out and just flashes. And I was just like, what's going on? And then my team leader, he's like, yeah, get some. I'm like, what are we going into?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just...
So, fuck, dude. So you guys did what you were told, jump in the back of the 5-ton, and then where did you go to your little barracks, your little billets?
Yeah, it's the standard 3-mile rucksack carry where somebody leads you to where you're going, and you have to walk with all your bags, and like people are falling out because they have all your gear. We used to fly at that time with full combat load.
Correct. So you're going from the landing zone to wherever you sleep?
Yes.
And that was about 3 miles. You got that fucking...
It felt like it.
Hoofing it.
Yeah, and I had a full combat...
Chevrolet legs. Hey, guys, one of our sponsors for this channel is Tactical Elites. If you bought a new optic for your weapon, whether it's a handgun or a rifle, and you need to zero it in, and you don't want to take it to the range, and you don't want to buy money on ammunition, go to tacticalelites.com and buy the Laser Finder 2.0. Use discount code HB10 and make sure you check it out. Thank you, guys. Keep pushing forward. Hey, guys, consider becoming a patron where you will get first exclusive dibs on the video before it airs to the public, and you'll get to ask the guests special questions that you have in mind. So that's also another way to support the channel. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all of you. Keep pushing forward. Make sure you hit that link in the description below.
I had combat load of 240.
Oh, I totally understand, bro. I totally freaking understand, bro. I was a javelin gunner, so I had like the javelin, the clue.
Yeah.
Dude. So when you get there, when do you start experiencing indirect fire?
So at FOB Rustamaya, it was at breakfast and at dinner.
That's when they would hit you guys?
Every day. And when they felt happy, they would hit us at lunch. So it was, every day.
Now that one, did it have bunkers or were you guys just take it?
So they had bunkers.
But nobody used them?
Well, we started just like everyone, as soon as you get there, like, okay, let me get the bunker. But then they started targeting bunkers.
Really? Were they accurate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn.
They hit the DFAC, they hit the
Really?
PX, they hit, because it wasn't a big fob, and it was a decent-sized fob, but it was in the middle of nowhere.
Were they rockets and mortars?
Mostly rockets.
Mostly rockets.
Yeah, it was mostly rockets. So, it was like, at first we were running to the bunkers, and then we ended up realizing we live in a tin two-story house.
Correct.
If it happens, it happens.
Right.
There's no point to run down there.
So as this is transpiring, man, you were in Fort Benning, Georgia. You're getting schooled by some combat veterans. You had seen the movies, Wind Talkers. You were in Germany, Graf, Hohenfels. Now you're earning your CIB, your combat infantry badge. What is going through your brain?
So I think my first 45 days in a combat zone were like very critical to what shaped me as a person and as a soldier. And it took me a while to realize it because I didn't leave the FOB. Like we didn't do a patrol for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe.
Do any left seat, right seat rides?
I was a private. They did left seat, right seat rides. I didn't do anything.
Okay.
So during one of the left seat, right seat rides with another unit, I think 2 lieutenant colonels got killed because they drove in the same vehicle.
Fuck.
So they ended up getting smoked, and it was just like, okay, let's hold on a little bit before we step out the wire. And my first patrol out of the wire, 2 dudes got killed.
Your first patrol?
Yeah. So the first time I left the wire, I'm like half asleep from staying up all night, things like that. First patrol, they were in our sister company, but it happened right outside the FOB because they kept on putting EFPs or IEDs right outside the FOB. So we started using the back door. Then they put EFPs on the back door. So
those EFPs didn't come to your time frame, dude.
Yeah, that was a little different thing that happened when we were there.
That sounds like a fucking nightmare, dude.
Yeah, because the OF2 guys would be like, I've been blown up 30 times.
Right.
I've been blown up, I was like, okay, that's interesting. I guess I'm going to get blown up a lot. Then come the EFPs, and like you get blown up once, twice, maybe, So my first patrol was out there. One of the dudes two dudes get killed. And I'm just like my first patrol. And I think it changed my concept of what I got into because we had up-armored Humvees at the time. And, all the OF2 guys were like, yeah, we're up-armored. We're safe in here. It's not the stupid stuff. I saw that up-armored Humvee burn down to rims.
Because of the EFP?
Yeah.
Can you explain what the difference is between an IED and an EFP is?
So an IED is just basically like a bomb. Like it's an artillery shell or something, or some kind of explosive, and it just makes a big boom. The EFP, what it is, it's like an armor-piercing round. So what it basically essentially is, it's something really small that pierces. And what they would do is they put 4, 5, 6, or 8 arrays up, and it would be like a bullet about the .50 cal size that just chops through any armor that we had.
It's like molten lava
Yeah.
What was
Copper.
it? What was the copper? Huh?
It's molten copper.
It go right through an M1 Abrams.
Yep. It would go through any type of armor we had at that time.
Were those effective?
They were very effective. I think one of the things that I found out about war that I see some people talk about, especially vets, is I don't know about their time frame, but I believe by the time I got there, we had killed all the dumb ones. So all the videos that I saw before about a guy running down to the street and just shooting at a tank with an AK, yeah, that guy's dead. Like, those guys are dead. The ones that were left at that time were higher trained, higher skilled, more experienced fighters. And they would do things when they would put the IEDs or EFPs down, they would target the gunner and the TC.
Oh, that is pretty smart, dude.
So I don't know. I can't remember how many people I saw with their legs cut off because the EFPs would aim for this exact spot on the truck. And I saw a couple gunners with their heads chopped off because they would aim at the head. And they would aim them. So they would aim them and they would time them. And the dudes are smart.
What was detonating them? Cause okay, you got to aim it, right? But what are they using to set it off? Is it command?
So it's a cat and mouse game.
Is it sensors, motion sensors from a garage door opener?
It's
cell phone.
So this is what.
How are they so fucking accurate?
So the accurate is just how they aim it and practice in time.
But how are they timing it?
They did it a lot. There was a lot of EFPs. We had like outside the fob within 300 meters. They said within the last like 2 weeks there was 30 EFPs that they found. They were trained militants. Like,
were they foreign fighters?
Yeah, there were a lot of Iranians at that time that came in.
Okay.
So it was Iranian special forces that came in, trained regular guys and things like that. But so basically that time frame in the war was at first wire detonation. We're looking for people, we can find them, shoot them, right? Then it turned into RFID, so like garage door sensors. So whoever passed through this one.
So there was no bad guy in nearby?
Nope, there's no bad guy in sight. But then they started doing something else where they would do a command wire set up to a cell phone, but the cell phone would be like 150 meters away. Mm-hmm. So somebody could be 300 meters away, or they could be on the other side of the road, call this cell phone, and it goes this way.
So smart, dude.
So basically, they would do something, they would kill us, we would counteract it, and they would counteract it back.
So smart, dude. So this time frame right here that we're talking about was the surge, the beginning of the surge.
Beginning of the surge.
Was the Iranians crossing over, bringing EFPs, and how about the cultural war between the Sunni and the Shiites?
We would see firefights between a Shia and a Sunni neighborhood, and we're like, oh, let's get it on, let's go. And they're shooting RPGs, they're shooting machine guns at each other, and then we'd roll down there and be like, let's go, let's get it, and they would just stop shooting.
You know that the time you served is a very like peculiar time in history, man. I think we're talking about this a little bit.
Yeah, I think that it took me a while to realize it, that Eastern Baghdad during the surge was the worst place during the war, except for high-intensity battles like city clearing and things like that. The intensity that was there for a prolonged time, and it's just the amount of death that there was is just kind of different. Because on top of a lot of our guys dying, they were killing each other.
What about ING? Were they getting killed?
I don't think there was ING at that time anymore.
Iraqi police?
Yeah, so I was IP. The Iraqi police was with the Shia. The Iraqi army was with the Sunni. So the Iraqi army would set us up to get hit with the EFPs. Mm-hmm. And then the other ones would get hit up with different artillery rounds. And they would do raids at night, and they would kill each other, torture each other, and we would find their bodies on the street every day. We'd find bodies on the street every day, people tortured, people decapitated.
So I read about that book, We Fought for Each Other. Mm-hmm. I told you my friend Ryan Wood, was killed in Alamia, Baghdad, that time frame. I went to basic training with him. In that book, they talk about how they find dead bodies in the morning. What was your guys' role as United States infantrymen when you see the dead bodies?
When we saw them, we're like, hey, it's a dead body, kind of leaders call. They're like, hey, let's go get them. let's take him to the IP station. Let's turn him in so we don't have like a random dead body on the street. But then they started putting IEDs on him.
Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah, that's wild, dude.
Yeah, so they started putting IEDs on him. So we're like, hey, we'll just, call it up, have him come get it. But
That's actually the first time I ever heard that, man.
Yeah.
I've always known that they put IEDs in dead dogs and donkeys right in their ass or whatever. But this is the first time I hear that they were putting IEDs in dead bodies.
yeah, because they look at us. Everything we do, they're like, how do we kill these guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a cat and mouse game. And
Imagine that, dude. It sucks to get hit by an IED, but imagine getting hit by a dead body IED. You're gonna get all kinds of nasty shit on you.
yeah, a lot worse than you would regularly get.
Wow, dude. Holy fuck. Is this affecting you at all, or are you just embracing it and you're just experiencing it? Did you feel like you were in your element?
It was interesting because during that first deployment, it was a trying time. And like I said, like the first 45 days, my first patrol, I saw 2 guys get killed. Like as soon as they get out, boom, these 2 guys get killed. We get their bodies.
But there's more to them getting killed. You have to bring the bodies back or put them on a medevac. The phone's shut down for 72 hours. You have to do the ceremony, then the ramp ceremony. Is all of this affecting you?
I mean, I don't think I had time
Right.
because within the first 45 days, I saw 5 people get killed.
Americans.
Yeah, 5 of our guys. And I was next to 2 of them. So, and it's just like everything just happened so quickly, back to back, those first 45 days. It was kind of shocking. And the thing that affected me too was that a lot of the OF2 guys that had been in Fallujah, that had been in different wars, they were just like, yeah, this is not supposed to happen. They were like, this is different. So we're at that time where it was a sniper, the Juba sniper, the Baghdad sniper was big. And I was a gunner, and they were killing gunners nonstop. So at the fob we
That
were at,
motherfucker ever take shots at you?
yeah. I actually come out in the video where he shoots the guy next to me.
Really?
Yeah, so,
What was that dude shooting out of the back of a trunk?
yep, back of the trunk like the DC sniper.
Did they ever kill him?
Yeah, they got him.
Good.
I think the SEALs got him.
Good.
So that happened, and then we end up snatching the dudes up that are selling the video, the DVDs. They're putting it out as propaganda.
Right.
And one of my buddies like, hey, Juan Carlos, look at you. You're in that video. That's the place. I was like, no way. Then I look up pictures that I had from that day, and it's the exact same place. And I don't know what it was. I watched that video every night for 3 months straight.
You were in a gunner in a Bradley or a Humvee?
Humvee.
Did you guys have Bradleys?
Yeah.
And you guys use Bradleys on patrol?
We use both.
Okay.
So sometimes we'd roll Bradley, sometimes. And the thing is since it was Baghdad and like we had a car bomb go off, CNN was there in 5 minutes. By the time we went back to the fob, we were already on the news.
Car bombs, roadside bombs, EFPs, rockets, mortars, snipers.
And grenades.
Talk to me about the grenades, bro.
So they would, in certain neighborhoods, mostly in Otomia, it was a very tight, narrow area, and they would throw grenades at the gunners.
It'd be kids too, huh?
Yeah, it'd be like 15-year-old kids that would throw grenades there. And one of our guys actually ended up getting a Medal of Honor for jumping on a grenade.
McGinnis.
Yeah,
Ross
so
McGinnis.
McGinnis got a Medal of Honor because he jumped on a grenade to save his battle buddies in there.
So earlier I asked you if you knew Lyle Bueller. I went to basic training with Bueller. He was in that Humvee.
Okay, so I know who he is then.
When
Yeah.
McGinnis sacrificed his life for everybody in there.
Yeah, I definitely know who he is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a small world, bro.
It is.
Infantry 126, 118.
And then,
Were you in country when McGinnis did that?
yeah, we were deployed.
How did word spread about that, or did you guys hear about the incident?
Yeah, we actually heard about it. And then I was a gunner, and they're like, hey, start training to slap away IED or grenades because they're throwing grenades at us. So I'd be in there as a kid, messing around. I'd be like, smacking, pretending like I'm a smack a hand grenade thrown at me.
What did you guys put up any defense mechanism around the turret?
So we ended up cutting a HESCO, which is kind of like a net that goes over a metal frame that went over the turrets.
And you guys just improvised that?
Yeah, somebody came up with it in our unit, and they just improvised it. And it actually became SOP everywhere. And then now they, of course, made it into a metal turret.
Okay.
So now they have metal turrets, and now they don't even have gunners anymore.
When you were gunning, were you sitting on the strap? What were you guys directed to do? Sit on the strap or stand up?
Both. It just depends because like
area?
on the fob, a static Bradley with about this much opening, we had 3 guys get killed there.
Say that again?
So on the Bradley, you have the hatch where you can open up like this. The first guy that got killed was standing up straight, name tape defilade, as they call it. It's a name tape here.
Yeah.
He got shot in the face.
By a sniper?
By a sniper.
Fuck.
So the next guy sat a little lower.
Okay.
He got shot in the face by the Juba snipers because they came out on the videos. And then...
was it more than one?
Yeah, it was a group. But they made it seem, the propaganda was like, it's one guy.
Like one fucking ghost.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a fucking, like a horror.
But it was a cell.
I didn't know it was a cell. That's why I like you putting out the history, bro.
Yeah, so it was a cell. I ended up finding out that later on. But yeah, it was a cell of well-trained individuals. But it ended up...
Were they Iraqis?
Syrian.
Son of a bitch, bro.
I think Syrian or Jordanians. Something like that.
Fucking getting their jihad on, dude.
Yeah. So this is one thing I like about old school Army leadership, right? So 2 guys get killed on the gate. Sergeant Major says, people are terrified. Sergeant Major says, I got this. Sergeant Major goes out there, opens, and just looking out this much at the time. He gets shot in the face, too. He gets killed. Yep. But that was what leadership was. Is like...
Lead from the front.
Yeah. Follow me. Follow me.
You guys are getting fucked up. Or it sounds like you guys are getting fucked up. What was your guys' ROE or SOP? For instance, when 2004, when we got hit by an IED, our SOP was to open up in 360-degree fire everywhere and anything. Was that the same with you?
So we couldn't do that at the time. We had to get positive identification. But there were some certain things that weren't necessarily threat related. So since we had so many great grenades being thrown on us from the rooftops, we had a new SOP, and then we put out flyers. They said, if you're on a rooftop when we're going around, we are authorized to shoot you. So we were authorized to shoot anyone we saw on a rooftop. Another thing that we had is curfew. So if anybody was out after this time, we handed out flyers. We were allowed to shoot them. Another thing, if you're digging, any type of digging.
I would not, bro, digging in Iraq just sounds like a horrible fucking idea, bro.
Yeah, so anybody, like if you're digging, you were a lawful target.
It sounds about right, man. Can't really think of any other reason to dig in Iraq other than to plant a fucking bomb. But
yeah, well, yeah.
Fuck.
So, and then
you guys have body bags?
So towards the end of the deployment, we started carrying our own body bags,
Right.
because we ran out of body bags. Like we had to order more. So I used to carry mine in my left cargo pocket at the bottom.
How much death did you see in that deployment?
I saw a lot, and I didn't realize how much it was because it was new to me. So it's kind of like the first experience is what you base everything else off. So the OF2 guys were just like, this is different. This is different. And me as a new guy, I'm like, oh, I thought this was how it always was.
So Staff Sergeant Golson, he was in OIF 1, the invasion, with 1st AD, 1st Armored Division.
Okay.
And in January of 2005, there was a car bomb that killed 22 people. There was charred pieces of people everywhere. And I remember he looked at me and he said, this is too much. I've seen too much. I got to get help when I get back. And like, you're right, dude. For us being our first time around, it's like, okay, well, this to us is normal.
Yeah.
This guy is saying it's too much. What the fuck did that mean for me, bro?
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Is that what you were thinking? Like, fuck, okay, clearly there's something wrong here.
Yeah, this guy, like I had dudes that were in OF2 and they were like in Baton Rouge and Fallujah.
I was in Baton Rouge, bro.
Yeah, I know. I heard everything about Baton Rouge. All my NCOs were like, what do you know about Baton Rouge? They're private. I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's in Louisiana, but
yeah.
No, so like it kind of started thinking when these dudes were like hardcore and they were just like, oh no, this is different. It wasn't like this before. This is a whole new level of crazy. And then like in Baghdad, like in Eastern Baghdad, they used to have like 80, 90, 100, 150 people get killed in markets with car bombs. They used to drive drum trucks into there. And then, like, you used to go see, like, a river of blood in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And then they used to pile up body parts everywhere and just be like, what are you supposed to do?
Did you experience fear?
I think this is something I've talked to with my friends, because my friends like to say, I wasn't scared. And I'm like, no, you were. You absolutely were scared. And I think that's one of the things that we're taught and we're trained to do is to conquer fear and live with it. Like, you're going to do something that's scary. Yeah, you're scared. You're scared to death. It's a life and death situation. But doing what you have to do in the face of fear is what kind of bravery is. Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, you're scared, but you can't let that dominate what you want to do to accomplish your mission.
Did you experience rage?
I think once I kind of broke because we saw some guys up a road and we were shooting at them. We weren't sure if we hit him or not. And then I wanted to go in there and smash him. And leadership was like, no. I flipped out. I started banging. I was driving. I was like banging on the window. I was like, I don't know, just like one of those points where I just felt like just crazy. But for the most time, no, it wasn't. It was kind of, what'd I say? It was the most honed in I've been in my life. Because it was life or death, and you better focus on what you're doing because it's serious. It's not a game. It's serious. You have to focus on what you're doing. Not just that, focus on everything and something at once at the same time.
There's nothing else like it, man.
Yeah, it's different.
Did you experience sorrow or loss in the sense of emotion?
Well, yeah, when friends died, it was strange though, because it was like, okay, I'm sad, but I can't be sad. And it's just like, since like I said, since from the beginning, it just kicked off, and someone died every 10 days. Someone was killed. So every 10 days, we're going and hearing taps and doing ceremonies and things like this. It became kind of like you became numb to it, because guess what? We got to go on patrol tomorrow. And guess what? It's life or death tomorrow.
Did you ever experience child casualties?
Yeah, like that happens. And I don't know. It's one of those things that where you, like, we had kids shoot at us too. You know what I'm saying? I had a kid throw a Molotov cocktail at me. I mean, I think in certain places when you reach war, and what I realized that first deployment too, is that a lot of societal rules don't matter. Like society rules of what, no, none of that matters. Like when we used to drive down the freeway at night to get to our sector, 60 miles per hour in Humvees, which is like a space shuttle, because they make so much noise at that speed, with nods on.
Lights out, yeah.
Lights out, down the wrong way of a freeway.
Mm-hmm.
Into oncoming traffic.
Absolutely.
And it's just like we used to drive against traffic as fast as we could to try to beat the timing of the IEDs. And when we wanted to go somewhere, we used to actually, different from OF2, we used to go within traffic, because if we went with traffic, they wouldn't detonate the IEDs because they didn't want civilian casualties. So from the OF2 guys, they're like, nobody get close to us, we're going to shoot them.
Right.
For us, it was like, we rather have them close.
Oh, I hear what you're saying.
Because
that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, because if they're close,
they're not going to want to blow up their own.
Yeah, and then if we looked like it was a person, we'd shoot, warning shots or follow our procedures. But it was a big city, so there's always a lot of traffic. So it was different. But yeah, I mean, it happens. And it's kind of one of those things, like war has so many things to it. And sadly, it's one of the things that happens, that kids get killed because bullets keep going wherever. If they don't hit where you want them to hit, they keep going.
Do you think war is necessary?
That's an interesting question. I don't think I've been asked that before.
Homie, you're on the fucking Hector Bravo and Haynes, bro. I don't fuck around over here, man.
War is necessary. I think, yeah, it's necessary. I think it's part of human nature, and it's just bound to happen. Conflict, and it's the ultimate level of conflict. And I don't think it'll be something that goes away. It'll be something that evolved, but I think human conflict is needed because we fight over stuff, over materials, over land, over all kinds of stuff.
Oil.
We need oil to live. As a country, we need to survive. We need minerals. We need all these things. So people don't want to give it up. And I think it's needed sometimes.
Would you fight for your country regardless of what the political agenda was?
Well, I think I did.
Now, after the fact, knowing what you know,
Oh, I
would you
think
do it all over again?
I would absolutely. I know I talked to my friends about that too, and they're just like, I don't know. I'm like, no, absolutely I would. Because I couldn't live with myself being an American citizen, born here, not, raised here.
Absolutely.
And then I look at some people, they're like our age, and they're like, well, I'm a patriot. We're like, hey, buddy, there was a 20-year war. Why didn't you put your money where your mouth was? You're a able-bodied young man. Your country needs you. Regardless of what the reason is, somebody's going to go.
Have you ever had people approach you and tell you, like, hey, man, I served, but I did not serve in a time of war, and I regret not going to war?
Yeah, I hear a lot of people say that.
What's your take on that?
So as the wars winded down, and I've had, I stayed in longer, and people don't have CIBs anymore. You go into an infantry company, you see barely any CIBs.
Correct.
And then you see some combat patches, but they're not from war. They're
Correct.
from combat zones. And they're good dudes. They're solid dudes. They're ready. I'm sure they would be great in the fight, but it's just timing.
Right. But I tell them you're better off. You're better off that you didn't experience, what we did. Because to me, I still carry that. I don't know if those memories or thoughts, if you still carry that, I'm sure you do.
Yeah. It's still I get nightmares like every other night. But
Right.
Yeah. But no, I wouldn't change it because it made me the person I am today.
Correct.
And I couldn't look myself in the mirror. At me personally, I'm not taking shots at anybody or anything like that. But me and my mind frame and my person, I couldn't be like, there was a war, I could have gone. And when I get old, I don't want my grandkids to be like, hey, Pop, I just heard about, I heard about the war. What happened during the war? What'd you do? I was like, I was out there getting it.
You were literally out there getting it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Before you were telling me that you responded to an IED that destroyed a Bradley.
Yeah.
And you had to recover. Are you willing to talk about that incident?
Yeah. So that happened actually twice.
Shit.
And one to our sister company and one to ours. And like I talked about, when I see the up-armored Humvee, I saw it burn to rims, and I said, that's a bulletproof vehicle.
Right.
We're supposed to be able to survive that. So by that time in deployment, it was much later. The Bradleys were our safety blanket. We're like, okay, this is indestructible. They can do what they want. Maybe EFP hits it or whatever, reactive armor.
Correct.
We got a little bit of extra going there. Like, this is our... Then I see that one flipped upside down.
What was it, an IED that pushed it over?
So they changed to different ones. They used homemade explosive, which became the big thing later. So they call it HME, homemade explosives. So, and they used the way they did it is they made it in a sewer. So the sewer kind of made it like a barrel. So it intensified.
They did it in the sewer, but what was it placed in? Had you guys ever found one that had not been detonated so you guys know what it looked like?
No, it was just explosive down here
So
at the
just
bottom.
a bunch of fucking explosive shit
and it went straight
in a
up.
sewer,
Yep.
timed perfectly in the bottom of a Bradley.
And what kind of screwed us up at that time is that we were used to other explosives.
Correct.
Because our Bradleys would get hit with normal artillery shell IEDs, and they put armor on the bottom. So what ended up happening is the pressure went from the bottom, and it basically smashed the whole bottom up.
That's fucking horrible, dude.
And Bradley's, 35 tons?
Yeah.
Flipped completely upside down into like a gigantic crater.
Any survivors?
Oh, no. So that I think that...
And you were QRF?
Yeah, so when that happened, there was a contact. They got it, and then the unit whose it was, they got out of there. And basically it was like everybody come here now. It's a big deal for the battalion. And that day was crazy because the dudes are good. Like, the enemy's good. And I think if somebody doesn't give credit to the enemies of America that have fought, I don't think you guys fought the A team. You know, because I'm sure there's better, but we fought some good. They planted 3 ambushes. So coming out of where the QRF would go, there was another ID. For another,
dude,
was another ID.
Yeah, they're not dummies by any means.
Yeah, so like I think, and there was like the 3 entrances all had ambushes.
Were they able to successfully initiate each ambush?
Yeah, I think an MP got killed.
Fuck.
Who else got killed? There was some other people that got killed too. It was, and then somebody broke their legs or. So what we ended up doing is we ended up zigzagging because they're like, hey, this is going, it's gone. But like, we got to get there. We got to get there.
Yeah.
So we get there, we relieve the unit that's there, and then we're in charge of cleanup and picking up body parts, essentially.
Was there Iraqi civilians out and about, or were they fucking cleared out?
No, they were gone. Yeah, they were gone. There was nobody looking around at anything. But yeah, so we had to like recover pieces. We found the top of the hatch. We found it on a rooftop, like 300 meters away.
Holy shit, dude.
So from the pressure that, like, just finding, it was massive. And it was the first time we'd ever seen something like that. And, I mean, it was traumatizing. It was, like, very traumatizing. And by that time, we had already been there. And it was a big loss. And the other thing that was traumatizing is, aside from a new tactic that they brought out, that they always bring out a new tactic, it was, we're not safe in anything.
That's what I was just about to ask you. What type of psychological effect did it have you to see a fucking Bradley crushed like a soda can?
It was just like, well...
Devastating?
Devastating. And then 1 month later, we saw it again.
How much months later?
A month.
No way, dude.
Yep.
Same area of operations?
Yep.
No way, bro.
Yeah.
Same tactic?
Later. Same tactic.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, and that was our company that got killed there. And that's old school leadership, too, because that was... There's a little bit of issues because one of our missions was, hey, go confirm an IED. Every time we confirm an IED, we get blown up. I'm like, yeah, there's an IED there. Got it. Yeah.
Typical job of a fucking grunt, bro.
Yeah, so you know, some guys were told to go out there and do it. And then they were like, hey, this is confirmed. This is an IED. You know, some guys told the unit that was going to go out there, like, yo, there's a big IED there, just like the last one. They're like, well, we're going to go. The platoon sergeant said, follow me. Because they're like, who's going to take lead? Platoon sergeant said, I got you, follow me. And he got killed. But he was leading his men like you're supposed to, like we're taught to, is something's that dangerous, I go first, you follow me, I lead the way.
He got killed as a result of that IED?
Yeah.
I don't know any other leadership style besides leading like that from the front, bro, because that's the way we were taught at such a young age.
That's crazy, though, too, because now, as things change, that's how I was schooled up. Like, the first time I started kicking in doors,
absolutely,
team leader was like, follow me. I'm like, thank you, because I don't know. After doing it for a while, I was like, I'll kick in doors by myself. Let's go. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's...
How much raids were you guys doing, room clearing?
An ungodly amount.
What were you looking for, targets in the nighttime? You get intel?
So every time someone would get killed, which was often, we would do battalion raids. So
Battalion raids?
Battalion raids. So
that's huge, bro.
Like 10, 15 blocks, city blocks.
That's huge, dude.
And they're like 12 hours, go. And we would just kick in every door.
Starting at nighttime? Or early morning hours?
Early morning, all day. Go kick in doors for 12 hours. And it's tiring.
What kind of stuff were you guys encountering? Squatters. Fuck, I had another friend get killed, Hector Leja on Haifa Street. What were you guys encountering? Weapons caches, anything?
We would find weapons, IED materials, propaganda, bad guys.
Really?
Yeah, so it just depends. But when we did like these huge operations, they knew. And it was kind of like a message, like, hey, if you mess with us, we're going to destroy everything.
Breaking shit.
Just breaking.
Smashing shit.
I mean, looking for stuff and, you know.
And things get damaged in the process.
And like, if we're going to look in the drawers, we just empty them all on the ground.
Correct.
Look behind, you know, things like that.
Right.
So, yeah, it'd be things like that. So, And like we would do it, and we was like, okay, mission's on hold. Let's battalion raids, and we would just be like, hey, your platoon has these 3 blocks, and we would hit every 3-story house on that block.
Now, I know you mentioned you were attached to a tanker unit, which so were we, so I understand the misery of that. No disrespect. But were you guys being used and abused as infantry since you guys were the go-to guys?
Well, yes and no, right? So we got to do the cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get to do the cool stuff. So we got to do the raids. They sat in their tanks on cordon. And they just like probably fell asleep or whatever.
Right.
But we were getting the action, right? Details, of course, we had to do extra stuff. And it was just like a manpower thing. It sucked, but at the same time, it had its pros and cons.
What were you guys being told as far as the reason you guys were there? Your mission?
Our mission was to kill bad guys. You know, like our mission was to go find bad guys, snatch them up, and kill them.
Were you guys effective?
I think, yeah, we were pretty effective. We got a lot of HVTs, a lot of high value targets. We ended up using a lot of technology, and I think the write-up said we killed a lot of people too.
Were you guys able to identify the insurgents? Meaning, it was a lot of hit and run tactics.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys able ever to, get eyes on and?
So during that time, what they would do is, because they were smart, they knew they couldn't fight us head to head.
Correct.
So what they would do is they initiate with IED or an RPG, depending on what they had, shoot at us as much as they could, see if they could kill any of us. But once we gained firepower superiority, they would just disappear.
Right.
And then it was frustrating.
I was just about to ask you, did you find that frustrating?
It was frustrating. It was not like Afghanistan where those dudes, they'll let you kill them.
You went to Afghanistan also?
Yeah.
So as the tour winds down in Baghdad, you said your initial contract was 3 years?
Correct.
God damn, you got a $30,000 bonus for 3 years?
And $300 a month for 3 years for going to after that, people were getting $45,000 bonuses.
Man, they screwed my boy. He got 6 years in the infantry for fucking about that same much.
Oh.
But that's 6 years. When did you re-enlist?
We got orders before we left. So before we left,
You guys got orders to go to Afghanistan before you left?
Iraq.
Okay.
Before we left, about 7 months, 8 months into a tour, they were like, "Hey, we got orders to come back."
No way, bro. How did that feel?
I mean, halfway through, first we got orders that, "Hey, you get extended 15 months instead of 12." And we're like, "What's that mean?" They're like, "I guess we're staying here."
Yeah.
And then after that, they were like, "Hey, we already got orders for your next deployment. You're going to be back home for 12 months, and then you're going to go back to Iraq for another 12 months."
Was your first deployment what you had anticipated combat being like?
Oh, absolutely not.
In what way?
I think combat is like sex. Like you can describe it to somebody, but when you feel it, it's just different, and you expect it to be a certain way, but it's different. Especially in the type of fight we were basically waiting to get killed the majority of the time. We less often than not got to be the aggressors. So when you got to be aggressors, we were aggressive because we were like, finally, I'm not just driving around waiting to get killed and ambushed. So when we got to be aggressors, we're like, finally, I get to go be aggressive and get out there and get it. So I thought it would be like front lines using the tactics, fight to fight. And
So did I, bro.
yeah, yeah.
I thought, we line up on one side and bang, bang, we shoot it out.
Yeah.
Fuck no. Motherfuckers were hiding, bro.
Well, and that's one of the things when I train people, I talk to them about, and logically it makes sense, but it doesn't click in your head when you're training. Oh, target, range, boom. People don't want to die.
Yeah.
So people will do the most so you can't kill them. They will be hard to kill.
Right.
And it makes sense when you think about it, but you don't think about it when you see big man-sized targets that you have to shoot down.
Speaking of big man-sized targets that you have to shoot down, what did you think of the 5.56 round, the green tip? Did you find it to be effective, ineffective, discouraging? I'm sure you guys were shooting a bunch of motherfuckers with green tips.
Yeah, it was a bunch of green tips. I haven't shot anybody with the new bronze tip, but I'm not that much of a gun guy to understand.
Yeah, I mean, but were they dropping dead? Were they running away?
It depends because a lot of them are on drugs.
Right.
So we'd shoot some of them and I know I got that dude, because you'd see them trail up like that and they just keep running. You see a
Right.
blood trail, but then the bodies would be gone. So we like shoot dudes and like we'd see blood trails and then they wouldn't be there. So I'm not sure of the effectiveness. I'm not
Right.
sure about the drugs. I'm not sure, but hey, if the Army says this round's better, I'm gonna shoot it.
Right. So did you end up going back to Iraq?
To back, yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
And you re-enlisted in between?
So I knew I was going to get stop lost because of my time frame. And what they ended up doing is you'd come back within 6 months, they'd put up a fence. Be like, anybody that's not ETS within the first 6 months, you're getting stop loss and you're going again. So my first deployment, my team leader was stop loss 22 months. So he did OF2. He was supposed to get out. He did a 3-year contract. He ended up doing like a 5-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew I was going to get stop loss, but I waited to re-enlist until we were downrange so I could get the tax-free money for the bonus. So I waited all the way up to the end because I was like, I'm going to re-enlist. And then I was talking to the retention guy, and he said, yeah, just wait because you're going to get it tax-free as soon as we hit Kuwait. As soon as we hit Kuwait, he already had the contract, signed the papers, got it tax-free.
When did you make that determination that you were going to re-enlist?
I think one of the relations that I said is that I came back and I got in a lot of trouble still. And this time I wasn't right. And I knew I wasn't right. And I knew I couldn't reintegrate in society. And talking to other people in the Army, with my deployment, we could only relate to that level of craziness that we went through. So I could talk to them about it and we could be okay. I was like, I don't want to go somewhere where I can't relate to somebody and talk to them on this level. So I didn't think I could function in normal society, and I wanted to stay with my people. So I was like, I'm just going to stay, because kind of like the conversations we're having right now, you talk to somebody that hasn't been through things like that about it, they're going to look at you different. They might judge you, they might not understand, and they can't relate with you on that level. So I was like, I need to be a place where I'm normal, not where I'm abnormal.
What kind of stuff were you experiencing where you realized you did not fit back into society when you came back? Anger issues, road rage, thoughts?
I think the level of violence. When I came back, I was actually happy. I was actually very happy because I was like, I made it.
Right.
I'm happy. But I was actually really depressed.
Correct.
But I used to drink a lot, party a lot, but I was all about having fun.
Drink a lot as in self-medicating, or drink a lot as in drink a lot?
So I used to party because I know my friends would be sitting there in the barracks drinking, and I'm like, I don't want to drink if I do that. The only time I want to drink is when I go out, meet some ladies that I haven't been around for a long time, and fall in love every night. And that's what I used to do. But my friends used to just like to go out and drink. I'm like, I don't.
Right.
I'm like, I drink enough already. But like, I saw a lot of friends self-medicating. I think one of the things that I saw that I look back now as an adult, or as like more of an adult, right? That changes how somebody looks at how they react when they come back from combat.
Now, are you talking about coming back to Schweinfurt, Germany, or stateside?
So I went stateside for 2 weeks.
So you're experiencing this in Schweinfurt, Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And you were still feeling some things even though you were surrounded by the military presence?
Yeah, it was just wild because, like, you can't take 15 months of intense trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I had 45 days of leave. I went to Nicaragua, and that was an adventure. And, then we came back, and we had to come back to work, but it was like, okay, let's work, but let's go out and have fun, party, because guess what? We already got orders for the next deployment. So it's like you touch down, see your family, cool, but what happens is you can't unload. You can't wind yourself down because you come back and it's like, no, we got to get ramped up. We got a bunch of new guys coming in. We're leadership now. We have to show them this is life or death. We have to train them up because they're going to be watching our backs when we go down range.
But at that time, were you guys finally experiencing the mourning of your brothers that were killed in Iraq?
No,
No, because they didn't have the time still?
We couldn't wind down because, like, hey, if I get sad over here, I'm not going to be able to do my job. Mission focus.
Right.
Focus on the mission. I don't know. Worry about that some other time. I can't turn into an emotional wreck because I know it'll be an emotional wreck.
Now, in that time frame when you guys got back from the surge, was there talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, or was there any emphasis on mental health from the big army?
We did our first TBI test. So, but they didn't take a baseline. So we had all been blown up a bunch of times, or
Right.
like my baseline's already whacked out.
True.
They talked a little bit about it, but at that time they were just handing out antidepressants.
That's not good either.
Yeah, so all they did was like, oh, you don't feel good? Here you go. And they were just handing out antidepressants like candy. And with a lot of drinking, an antidepressant doesn't go for a good mix. So it's either you drink and self-medicate or you get on strong antidepressants. So most everybody just would drink.
Where was your second deployment to Iraq, and how did that differ from your first deployment?
My second deployment was to south of Baghdad, Hilla, the Hilla province.
How was that slower pace in Baghdad?
Yeah, absolutely. It was completely different. It was, I think it was different for me because at that time I had gotten in trouble and they moved me companies. So then, like, I bounced around to another company, and then when I bounced around to another company, I didn't have that shared experience anymore because I was with a company of guys that were in Ramadi during that deployment, and I was like the only one over here from Baghdad, and then we were close to Baghdad, so they had their experiences, but
yeah,
they were different.
Ramadi was off the fucking hook too at that time.
Yeah, so from what those guys told me, that they said at the initial, it was strong, it was intense, but then it kind of curtailed and it was kind of chill, and they were bored. And you know, those are solid dudes, and they were like, they wanted to come reinforce us because we were losing so many people to injuries and to deaths. They were like, we wanted to go help you guys, but we couldn't. They didn't
What
let
unit
us.
were they?
A Bravo 126.
Okay.
They were attached to 177.
Okay, I was attached to 177.
Yeah, so they're attached to 177 that went over there. 118 went south Baghdad, 177 went Ramadi, and then we went to East Baghdad.
Interesting, man.
So, yeah, so like,
Second Dagger Brigade?
yep. So I was around them, and I felt like I couldn't relate because they had never been around EFPs, and there was EFPs in the area. I was like, just drive fast, like whatever. like, just get over it. Like,
Just drive fast.
that's what we used to do. Because what we used to do is we ended up getting SOPs, and what we used to do is like military organization, everybody like, hey, 50-meter interval between vehicle. What ended up happening is like, no, we can't be ordered because then they could time us better.
How close did you come to death?
I'm not sure.
Did you embrace it?
So I think that's one of the things that that changed my point of view in life. Is during that deployment, in the first 45 days, I saw so many people get killed, and I just continued to see people get killed, either our units, other units that were going through our sector. And I saw a lot of Iraqis get killed, but that didn't affect me the same as Americans.
Correct.
And then basically it came to the point where I saw dudes that were better men than me. Better shape, better prepared, smarter, braver, better infantrymen. Did everything right, got killed. That kind of made me take the perspective of like, no, that dude's a man. You know, that is the man that I wish to be one day. And he got killed. Where does that leave me?
Right.
So it came to the point where when I was talking about mentality, when you get back, like you have to embrace it. So like a lot of us, not all of us, made the decision, I'm probably going to die here.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. I can either kill as many of them as I can,
Right,
and go out fighting, or I can do everything I can to get home in one piece. And there's a difference. There's a difference. And I personally believe that showed when they got back from deployment.
What part?
That part, what choice they made internally.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. I think it's a confidence thing. When you make that choice that you're going to fight to the death,
Absolutely.
and you're going to embrace it and face death, and you're okay with dying, but you're going to take out as many of them as you can, or in the back of your mind, like, I'm going to kind of just do enough. But
In what ways could you see it when you got back?
confidence, women with women, right? Because it was all male units at that time.
Correct.
I knew guys that would go out, and women like confident men just like men like confident women. Their confidence was gone because like a little voice inside of their head was like, you didn't step up to the plate when you needed to, when it counted. You were just trying to get home.
That's an interesting theory. But yeah, I made the decision that I was going to die over there.
Yeah, and people do that. They come back and they're confident. You could feel the confidence.
We carried an extra round in our pocket in case we were going to get captured. We were going to fucking kill ourselves, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I just fight with my hands.
No, I didn't want to end up on the internet. We didn't want to end up on the internet getting our fucking head chopped off for our family to see. We were just fucking off ourselves if it came down to that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it, but like you could tell like guys that used to get a lot of girls and used to like ladies men when they came back, they weren't the same. You know what I'm saying? They weren't the same because they don't have that self-confidence of, hey, when it gets down on the line.
That's an interesting theory, dude.
Yeah, that's kind of a theory that I saw.
Yeah.
That I was just like, oh, like that person doesn't exude confidence because they deep down know that they shied away at the moment of truth.
Do you think every man should experience combat?
No, I don't. I think it's okay if they don't. I think it's not for everyone. I think the infantry is not for everyone. I think war is not for everyone.
But earlier you made the statement of everybody should serve their country. Were you saying just in any capacity, whether
Yes.
you're a pogue, no disrespect, or just any MOS?
Absolutely. I think that's the thing. So during that first deployment, I saw people that weren't infantry, our support units. I saw them do amazing things
Right.
because they saw what we were going through and they stepped their game up.
Right.
And they were like,
Mechanics.
the mechanics would be sleeping in the middle of the night. We'd come back. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I was asleep. They'd come over there, let me fix your stuff because you guys are fighting the war and our job is to make
Yeah.
sure you guys are ready.
Fuelers. Yeah. Shout out to all the MOSs. I mean, it's all part of the fucking military machine.
Yeah, and they stepped it up because they saw what we were doing.
Right.
So the whole unit was better because everybody knew their part that was integral. We didn't talk bad to them.
Correct.
We were just like, no, you're helping us. Thank you. And they'd be like, yo, go take a shower. You know, because we hadn't showered in a week. And they're like, yo, go take a shower. I got you.
Did you guys have air support in Baghdad?
Well, we had more because it was the city. We had helicopters.
Kiowas or
Oh, no.
Blackhawks?
Apaches.
Okay.
So they would let us have Apaches. Sometimes for big missions, we'd have.
Would you guys talk with them through comms?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wouldn't because I was private.
Right, correct.
Yeah, but yeah. When they would just fly around and they'd be like, "Hey," we'd get in a firefight. I'm like, "Hey, that building right there." I'm like, "Cool."
Yeah.
So, but we didn't get the cool stuff like in Ramadi. They would cart an arty. They were shooting main guns. We didn't get to shoot main guns from the tanks in the city.
What about Charlie Company? Were they shooting main guns in the? Well, they didn't have no tanks, huh?
Well,
Bradleys.
they had two sectors, and one of the sectors it was too small
Right.
for tanks. The other one, but we rolled tanks there. But when they rolled tanks, they didn't want nothing.
I want to say that they were shooting main guns in
Oh.
Samara, Baton Rouge.
Oh, yeah. Back then, and even during that time frame, in different parts of the country,
Yeah.
they were shooting main gun.
Right.
But since we were high vis, and a tank round's going to go through a couple houses.
Collateral damage, man.
Yeah, and it was big.
So ultimately, what life lessons did you take away from being a combat veteran?
It's a broad question that I hadn't thought about either.
Do
Because
you value life more?
yes, I think with trauma and PTSD and things like that, I've had so many friends kill themselves. I've had so many friends die. One of the big things I see with here is I value how I'm going to die. What I mean by that is, how's it going to seem? Be like, hey, Juan Carlos, you went to war so many times. You faced death so many times for so many years. And then you died in a car accident because you didn't wear your seatbelt or because you weren't paying attention. I don't want to die like that. I want to die old man. You know what I'm saying? I value how I want to die more. I don't take risk that I don't need to. And people are like, I remember I get friends, homies back in Cali. They're like, you wear your seatbelt? I don't drink and drive. I'm like, why am I going to drink and drive? Like, no. Like, do I want to die drinking and driving? Like, I'm a combat vet. Either I'm going to die in some kind of fight, or I'm going to die an old man telling
Correct.
stories.
Yeah. I've always figured I was going to go out in a blaze of glory, man.
I don't want to.
Well, I kind of do. I mean, if I got to pick, that's kind of the way I want to go.
I want to die old and happy.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Old and happy.
Yep.
You're already on the path, man.
Also, I am old. Yeah, there you go.
No, happy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're got a good head on your shoulders, bro, for experiencing everything that you experienced, dude.
Yeah, it's a rough path. And I remember getting to the age that I talk to friends, and it's just like, I just turned 40. And I'm just like, hey, it's a blessing for people in our profession. It's an accomplishment to reach older age.
True. What's that saying that they say? Be aware of old men be aware of old men in a profession where men die young.
Yeah, definitely.
So what is it that you do now? I know you mentioned you're gonna go do some business back in Nicaragua.
Mm-hmm. So basically the first 14 years I was in the Army, it was back-to-back deployments, and then it was peacetime tours, and it was things like that. So for 14 years, I was on. And it was training, it was doing this, and it was just like 14 years of being burnt out. And what ended up happening is I got an instructor position in a non-combat role, and I started dealing with some stuff. And I was like, okay, I don't have to be wound up and turned on. Started dealing with some anxiety, some issues like that. So I was like, let me go get some help. I went and got some help. I think it changed my life dramatically. And then I was like, what do I want to do with my life? Because I was looking at the tail end of my career that was coming. And I was like, okay, your combat days are done. There's no war.
Right.
What's next? So I started going to school. I had the time because of that. And before I didn't have time to do that. So I started going to college. Started getting educated, started reading more, started doing more things like that. I initially wanted to work after I got out of the Army, to get a job. I didn't really know what I want to do, but I just know I want to start school. Then what ended up happening is the Army, in its amazing ways, right before I get ready to retire, they give me drill sergeant orders.
Okay.
Drill sergeant orders, you got to turn it back on. It's not the same.
Right.
It's not life or death, but you're getting up I used to get up at 3:45 every morning.
Kind of is like life or death when you're teaching the new privates recruits.
Well, I didn't feel like it because
Right.
I'm not going to die.
Right.
I want to teach them to do as much as they can, get a good base, of course, but it wasn't like I'm sending these young men and women out to war right now.
Correct.
It's the possibility. You want to train them with that mindset, but you don't want to overkill them and think like, if you don't learn this, you die. Because that's what they told us in basic training. They were like, if you don't learn this, somebody's going to die.
Well, they weren't lying.
Yeah, it was the truth. That was the mentality.
Right.
But you can't convince a young person,
Correct.
you don't learn this, you die. But like, where's the war? You
Too fucking smart for their own good, man.
well, that's honesty,
Correct.
and I think that's the best way to work, with honesty.
Yeah.
Like, this is not, but you need to have some kind of base.
Right.
So I did that 2 years. It was 10 weeks, 3 days off. From 4, we had to be there at 5 in the morning, get off at like 7, 8,
Oh,
9.
hell no, man.
Miserable. Yeah.
Hell no, dude.
So doing that, kind of stepped off college a little bit, started business. Business opportunity came up with immigration stuff.
You ever see privates do dumb shit?
That's all they do. That's all they do.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was one of the things we were doing there was helping soldiers with immigration stuff become citizens. So I have had foreign wives, German, of course, and I've gone through that process. So I was helping them through that. Then I was talking to them, and they were telling me, like, hey, drill sergeant, people charge like $5,000, $10,000 to do this. I said, excuse me? I did it in like 15 minutes with you.
Right.
Light bulb popped. Started doing that. Started helping people immigrate legally, fix their status, doing things like that, charging much less, but a lot more than people would expect.
Right.
That became, while I was a drill sergeant, with the new administration, immigration changed. I saw that coming, and I pivoted because I knew this was going to change. I pivoted into land development in Nicaragua because I saw people working here. What do they want to do? The people that I helped come here legally, they said, I want to buy a house in Nicaragua. I want to buy a plot of land. So I invested in some land down there. Smart. And then I was like, I don't want to be the seller. I don't want to be the buyer. I want to be the seller.
Yeah.
Because I saw how much money people were making. Like, no, I'd rather sell than buy. So I started working on that project. And that's what step I'm on now. And that's going to evolve into something else because I always want to see something, seek opportunity, have enough capital, seize it, and exploit it.
It's awesome, dude. You definitely got the right state of mind, bro, especially with all your experiences. It's like you're attacking this entrepreneur's business with the same mindset from the military experience.
And I think a lot of people want to do it, and I think one of the mistakes people make is they don't go through the academic portion of it. Because people can be successful in business, but having that academic backing makes things different.
Not just academic. I think it's a fear of failure.
Also, you gotta yes, because the way I tell people, the higher the risk, the more money you make.
Well, the higher the risk, the greater the reward is what some people say.
Yeah, higher the risk, higher the reward, but it's also a higher failure.
Yeah.
And you're gonna fail more.
But we made the decision we were willing to die at one point. So anything else in between is fair game.
Yeah, I'd never thought about it like that. Yeah, I think that mentality.
Yeah, I mean, really, what matters? Nothing.
Yeah, it's like I could be broke. I'll be okay.
Yeah. Exactly, dude. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming on the show, bro. I really enjoyed this conversation, dude. It's like taking a trip down memory lane, bro.
Absolutely.
And I know one of the biggest takeaways you wanted was to document history.
Absolutely, yes.
I think you did a good job of that, man.
Yeah, and I've been following you, and I don't actually agree on everything with you, but you know what? It's okay. I respect it, and I respect you as a person. I respect your story, and I think it's great that you get to tell it and share it with people.
Cool. Thank you for that, dude. Well, there you guys have it, folks. Another banger, man. A honorable military veteran bringing you another banger. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Love you guys. Keep pushing forward.
Unhinged mind, Hector's legend engraved. Living life raw, never been tamed. From the hood to the pen, truth and tales bend. Hector Bravo unhinged, story never ends.